Hot hatches. They've been around for a long time. Golf GTI, Peugeot 205 GTI, they've all been around for about 40 years. Now, there's a Hyundai. Hyundai sent me some bumps, and it's about 15 pages, so I've made a couple of notes. But there's a few important things to consider. First, this car was developed and designed in Germany under the guidance of head designer Peter Schreier, who's the Kia Hyundai head designer. A man by the name of Thomas Berkler heads the German design studio, and he came out to Australia when i30 was first released, and he told us that this N was coming. Well, here it is. What do you think? I think it's incredibly pretty. The excitement starts at the front when you see this N badge on this kind of checkerboardy Starfield grille. It's low set, it sits 8mm lower than the normal Hyundai i30. This model gets LED lights all around, and I think they look absolutely smashing. Around the back, these LED lights I think look absolutely brilliant. And of course they're brighter. And an easy to open hatch. Manual, of course. There is plenty of room back here. Under the floor is a spare tyre. Admittedly it's a space saver, but at least it is a spare. The back seats do go down, but there's a big bar here to secure the chassis to make it more rigid, and you really notice that on the road. Under the bonnet is this turbocharged 2-litre engine which gets 200 kilowatts, and with overboost, let me read you the exact figures, 378 Newton meters. Now compare that to Golf GTI and Subaru's WRX. The WRX of course is all-wheel drive. 202 and 378, because it's normally around 350 Newton meters without overboost. Golf GTI is 169 kilowatts and 350 Newton meters, and Subaru is 197 kilowatts and 350 Newton meters. That means this beats them. There's also a few other things it's got. A mechanical limited slip diff, which the Subaru also has. Torque vectoring, which the Golf also has. But only the i30N has an active exhaust and rev matching for its manual. The N stands for Fleet or something like that, but anyway, one of the rings at the Nürburgring. This car is the racing version of the normal hatch, and what that means is you get hatch practicality with the performance of a sports car, and that usually means the ride's rubbish. And I've got to say, the ride even in normal mode in this car is very firm. There's a few other interesting things too. First of all, the drive-away price is just over $44,000. It's like 39 and some change, plus the on-roads. But all the really cool stuff is in the luxury pack, which is another $3,000. Add a sunroof to that and you can add a further $2,000. What do you get for that $3,000? You get things that I think should be in the standard car. You get things like smart entry and start, so the just walking up to the car and pulling the handle, and the push button start. I think that should be in the car standard. You also get rain sensing wipers. I'll just put down the ye olde worldy strut. Space inside, it's plenty for a hatch, a 5-seat hatch. The back seat you'd really want to have 3 small people to fit in, but nonetheless they say it's 5, and it's certainly got 5 seat belt places, as well as a couple of Isofix spots for chairs and what have you. As you can see, with the chair set in my place, there's only a finger's distance between my knees and the seat in front. There's also some really neat cargo nets, and I quite like this hexagonal pattern sports upholstery. The front seat is equally comfortable. The steering wheel has 18 buttons. That's quite a lot. The rest of the air conditioning is controlled here through this section. As you move up the dash, hazard flashes, vent controls, and this tablet. All importantly, there's one single star button that you can program to do anything you like. Well, within reason. There's cup holders, and this, which just does seem to be, the armrest does seem to be a little bit in the way when you're changing gear. Down below is the parking sensors. Now, front parking sensors are part of the luxury pack. Can you believe it? And traction control off. You'd have to be insane to turn your traction control off. Just another quick word on the dual zone climate control. There's a sync button right where you can get it easily. The first thing you notice about i30N is that it's just like an i30 to drive, just like a normal old run-of-the-mill i30. It's not at all touchy, it's not tetchy, it doesn't skip, the clutch isn't heavy. But the important thing is that this only comes in manual, only manual, that's it. When you press the N button, it livens up nowhere. See if you can hear this. I'm not sure how much of this you're going to be able to see, or indeed how much you're going to be able to hear, but it just makes you smile. Now, listen for when I change down and you'll be able to hear it blip. And it makes for very, very quick gear changes and very smooth gear changes, which if you've never used it, you probably wouldn't be aware of. One of the customizable settings allows you to select the rev matching, select a stiffer chassis as if this needs to be stiffer. You probably just heard that. It's because this knob in a try it and change lanes right in front of me. There are 3 stages of Hyundai's safety sense with the autonomous emergency braking. The first one will warn you as that just did, but I have to say that was pretty close, as was that idiot on the bike. The next stage is applying braking to slow you down. The third stage is it applies maximum braking to try and stop you from hitting the car in front or whatever the object is. And to minimise the damage if you do happen to have a collision. Because remember, none of this replaces good driving. Amazingly, this car has active lane control. It is actually pulling me in the middle of the lane. It's trying to keep me in the middle of the lane. 0 to 100 time is a claimed 6.2 seconds. Not especially fast. But this 202 kilowatt 2 litre turbo is trying to pull over 1,400 kilos of car. This week we've gone over so many different road surfaces, smooth ones like this highway, road surfaces in the city that are badly potholed, road surfaces with the speed bumps. And I have to say the ride is very firm, and most of the time it makes no difference. However, on the road to Wiseman's Ferry, which has been badly chewed up by the most appalling illegal dumping, it was unbelievably hard and you felt every single bump. It was on the verge of being miserable. The steering is great. It's electric rack-mounted power steering. It's the more expensive kind. It's precise. It's well calibrated. The gears are beautifully smooth. The acceleration is brisk. And the fuel consumption is reasonable for a car of this power. The other thing is, although you're supposed to use a minimum of 95 RON petrol, it will take E10. So if you're stuck somewhere out in the middle of the never and you pull up at a Bowser and all it has is E10, you can use that. And even the Wiseman's Ferry run, though it was extremely bumpy, was a joy. It switches direction like a cat on carpet. i30N is a peach. That's it for Hyundai i30N. I'm going to rate it at 9 out of 10. It loses a couple of little points here and there for things that I think should be in the base model, if you can call this a base model. It definitely should have smart entry and start, and it definitely should have auto wipers. Others in the segment do. Hyundai claim this is a segment leader. Do you know what? I think it just might be. Let me know in the comments what you think, and don't forget, hit the little round button to subscribe.